I'm Dr. Kavita Satish Kumar. I'm a plant and soil scientist, and I've been in the field of research for the past 10 years with an experience in microbiology, molecular biology, and genetic engineering. So, just to cut it short and to make it more understanding of what I actually do, in simple terms, I make and break DNA, RNA, and proteins to make organisms or plants much more viable for us to better alternative fuels that we could be using to sustain in this uh, change that we're going through on this planet Earth. So this is just a little bit of what I actually do, but there's a lot more behind the scenes.
Of course, that we can understand because this is such a technical and such an advanced area in which you are working.
Dr. Kavita Satish Kumar, who has a PhD in biological sciences from Michigan Tech University, bioenergy crops, postdoctoral scholar, Berkeley Labs, USA. She has worked on production of engineered non-food crops to improve yields for biofuel and bioproduct production for creating a sustainable module for future and energy security. She is passionate about science. She has the capability to turn any conversation into connecting it with science, forever in search of hidden facts and bringing light to conversations.
Please tell us also about the lab where you're working. What's the name and how long you said 10 years?
Yes,
10 years.
It's been 10 years, including my PhD and my postdoctoral. I'm a scientist from the Berkeley Labs, United States, and been there for the past 3 years and trying to expand, trying to grow. And through COVID, I also got into knowing more about the social media side and everything. So I'm a mix of a lot of things, not just, I'm not just a lab worm, which I used to be some time back, but now with everything that's been changing,
Yes.
like how the science and technology is evolving, me as a person is also evolving. So I love to talk about science, and people always say I can change any conversation into a science conversation. And I think that's how I got to connect with her.
Two people of science, two people who love science and are passionate
Obviously.
about science and working in two different areas,
Yes.
two different parts of the world.
Yes.
Meeting, it's a coincidence, amazing coincidence. But you are tell me about the work that you're doing on finding an alternate fuel,
Yes.
which is very interesting, and I think that's the need of the hour, because ultimately our fossil fuels are going to be totally exhausted.
Mhm.
And before it gets exhausted, before we get to that point, we must come up with alternatives. So some alternatives have already been come up, and I was only aware of ethanol up till now. But what you are telling me is really very interesting. So please
So
come again.
so we use non-crop plants, which would not affect. So this is always a problem when we say we're going to make fuels out of plants. People always challenge it by saying it could. Is it going to affect the food yield and what we consume? So we target the non-food crops such as grasses or crops which are not considered as for human consumption. We take those kind of crops, we learn their genome, we try to understand what is it that makes them much more viable as a biofuel crop. And then we start working on it, try to break it down, see what will help give us more yield. By more yield, we mean biomass. So if it's grasses, then a lot of forage that you can develop. If it is a tree, then the wood mass is what we're talking about, like the wood that you would generate from it. And then making it much more simpler for the next part of the process, where we bring in microbes that would be involved, which would break it down further, and then taking it to the next level where the fermentation comes in, where the byproducts are taken out. So it's not just ethanol or a specific biofuel that we're looking at. We would term it in general as bioproducts. So that it could be targeted in many different fields because it's a plant-based. So it becomes much more appealing to people as well. It's coming from the plant, and the more obviously there's a lot more research to be done on it, but there is a wide scope when it comes to plant-based research and fuels. And like you rightly pointed, fossil fuels are depleting as we speak, and the climate change and everything that's coming in. So we have to find alternative methods for sustainability, and this is one of the approaches that we're working on currently. And with agriculture also, there's so much change that's coming into the market, where we're trying to find ways and means to grow crops even in non-arable lands. When I mean non-arable land, it's desert land, or lands which are barren, but how you could replenish it and grow those kind of crops again, for not just for biofuel purposes, but for also for human consumption when talking about agriculture. So improving the face of farming as well. So that's also an aspect.
And you are working at the genetic level, you're tweaking the genes and coming up with new forms of plants, or the wood quality you are saying.
Yes, so it's we make the changes at we modify them at the genetic level, and then it's not a new form of plant. It's just the plant will look the same, just that its characteristics are better.
Okay.
So like if it was yielding X amount of yield in a year, now we could generate Y amount of yield, which would be more, and that way we get more. We're coming back to the lab. So I just don't do it. We have gone into the field, planted those crops, and we've seen the yield. We bring it back to the lab. We understand more. We bring in the analysis part as well. So it becomes much more technical if I go into it. But then just for everybody to know, we make it, we take it out, we bring it back with, okay, this didn't work, this didn't work for us. So now let's tweak it a little bit more. So what else could be done? So everything from the genetic side to understanding what's happening inside, and then also making it favorable on the outside. So we learn the soil pattern, the water, the heat, the temperature, what all could affect that particular growth of the plant. It's not just, okay, we made something and now we go out and put it. We actually completely understand the environment. It's just like taking care of a baby. Like how would you do it? So what are the new things? Because the way we would grow a baby, nurture a baby in the past is not the same way how people do it now. So it's the same way with the change in technology. How would you accept and adapt to the growing need and bringing that plant or that kind of production into the reality, rather than just keeping it within the lab. We're trying to bring it out there and make it a face for everybody to start using it as we speak.
But there's a lot of suspicion regarding genetic engineering and a lot of resistance, and people say that it could have, so many other side effects. And are we really playing with nature or creating disturbances, or is it really good, or is it going to harm the environment in the long run? So all these, how do you go about experimenting on it, and how can you be sure that this is definitely a better alternative when you're coming up with a new form of the plant, when you're giving it new characteristics, as you say? Then how can you say that this is a better alternative for the entire planet, keeping all things in mind? Because yes, we have to see to the fuel shortage that is looming on us, and we also have to see that this does not have any side effects, doesn't have any other harmful, dangerous fallouts. How do you ensure that?
So I know this comes as a question always to me, and my response to it is, nature already does that. We are just using what nature already does. So nature already crossbreeds within itself.
Okay.
So the new forms of breeds that you see in nature now, the native form of corn is purple in color, but what we consume is yellow in color.
Right.
So the hybrids have, through generation after generation from crossbreeding, is what you are consuming. So it's already a mix of genetic makeup already. Nature already does it. We are just making it in an artificial form, like how we do medical production, like medicines or vaccines. It is, you have herbs that have those characteristics. Then you come to the lab and synthesize a medicine that will have the similar characteristics, and then you consume it. It's the same way. We're just synthesizing what nature already does it. And then, like you already pointed out, that we have to ensure the safety. So when we do all of this, we also have the environmental department, which takes care of all of this, that we are not invading into the nature as well. So we take care of all of it. We go by the books. It's always approved by the USDA, and we run by the book. So it's not like we just, because we made it, it's out there. So it has to be everything that the safety is ensured, that we follow the protocols, and then we test it a number of times, because before it's out there. Even when we run the field trials, it's not like it's gone into the farm and it's being tested. It will be an isolated piece of land where it's all controlled. Yes, we have it controlled. We have people taking care of it, that it's not being just loosely let out in nature. Once we harvest it, we ensure that it's completely harvested, taken back to lab in safety. So nothing is out there. So it's all.
So you're relying on a lot of experimentation, lot of empirical data, and then you're analyzing it, and then you're looking at it. And you're saying that these processes are already there in nature. So is it a kind of, what you are doing is, can we say that it's a kind of a mutation?
It's not mutating anything, it's
No.
just bringing in a change. So we're just trying to see, okay, this particular plant had this variety and this has that. So if we bring in that into this, if in nature, if it had to happen naturally, if it works, because we depend on our model plants where we do pollination. So we start with that. We start with pollination, like how nature would go and pollinate. We were in the lab, I've sat down hours together pollinating the plants, the flowers together, and trying to make a new breed out of it and see if it's giving us viable seeds, and then testing it and looking at the characteristics. So how nature does it is by using birds, air,
Right.
insects.
Right.
We do it manually, sitting there together,
Right.
us together, seeing if it can do it. So it's just another form of that. And when it comes to engineering it at the DNA or RNA level, it again requires a lot of study. It's not like, okay, I decided,
No, you
let's
can't. Yes.
tweak it.
Yes.
Plant doesn't work the way we want to.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I've
yes.
had it as a personal experience. We want to do this, but the plant is like, I don't want it, so I won't do it.
It will not happen.
It will
It's not going to
yeah.
happen. Yes.
Like it's all trial and error.
Yes.
And if the plant accepts, oh, this might be a good option for me, then if the plant accepts, then it works out. It's like that.
So there have been, through the ages, there have like people are going on trying yet to come up with a variety of a blue rose.
Yes.
So like, if I understand it at a very basic level, so it is those characteristics that you are taking from, say, violet
Yeah.
or some other flower that
Yes.
is naturally blue or purple in
Yes.
color, and you're putting it inside the
Yes.
white rose or some other that you find, the basic rose that you take care and you do it. So is this something like that you're doing so that you come up with a better variety of fuel?
Yes.
Fuel.
So getting the same, like the best of all, and putting it together and seeing if we can
Yes.
get that outcome. That's all.
So what you are saying is that in a few years, we are going to run our cars and other vehicles on growing, the fuel on our terraces.
You could
Something like that.
We could all. It's all a culminative change, right? We all come together to bring about that change. So how that happens? Because now again, with the waste products being we are all trying to recycle, upcycle everything, because it's all about sustainability, reducing the greenhouse gases, and how we could all curb that down. The damage that we have done, now we're working on reversing it. Right? So how all of that can be done is what we are trying to work towards. So I don't know about getting the plant growing in the terrace. That might be a little too less for the kind of what do you say, the consumption that we use, the consumption rate, but definitely it's something on those
like
lines.
that,
Like you could definitely have a blue rose growing in your garden.
Yes. So far, what has been your success? Like, how far are we from achieving what you're setting out to do?
So I mean, because it's not just my division that works. There's several divisions that works together. So we have had good output rates. Because again, it's a confidential project. I can't.
I know. No,
But
whatever
obviously,
it is,
we
yes.
are progressing with our milestones year by year. And once it's out there, it's going to be out there. It will be, because research can't be hidden. We always keep publishing it. So we are making progress, and we have a constant team that keeps doing it. So it is something that is happening daily, and I know that we don't rest, because the plants don't rest on Sundays. It's not like we have Saturday, Sunday off. Plants don't say, okay, Saturday, Sunday we won't grow.
Yes.
So it's like a constant thing that we need to take. The same way with microbes who help break down the wood or the plant material for us, the biomass for us. So it's a constant process. Yes, there's a lot of development happening in that field. I would say where we were a decade or two from now to where we are at, we are far, far, far ahead from where we were supposed to be.
But there have been some, some researchers which have not really, I don't really know whether it is a good or bad, like the Terminator seeds that we have.
Okay.
So that, you can have just that one crop, and then you can't reserve those seeds that the crop gives to get another yield the next year. So those are the Terminator seeds that, the hybrid process, the hybridization process that is there, that produces this kind of a thing. So every year, the farmer has to go and buy new seeds.
So again, that is also because if it is not done correctly, it would also lead to invasion of it. So it's like a control mechanism of how it would be, because then it would be very easy to blame the production house that it was because of you that this happened. So it's not to make it a difficult approach for farmers or people who use it, but it's just to make sure that it's not going out of hand. It's just a way to control what is happening.
And how long do you think how far are you from achieving the goal of getting these alternate fuels?
We get there and then the population rises. So it's like it goes hand in hand, or there's some other issue that comes in. It works hand in hand. So I said electric vehicles, people didn't even believe it could be done, but it came in. So with a blink of an eye, you might just see a gas station with biofuels running in them. It's close. We always think, this is not going to happen. People didn't even believe mobile would come in and that technology would grow and all of that. So even this, I'm pretty sure with the way the whole community has been working, we are there. We are getting there.
Not too far.
Not too far. See?
So, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you so much.